Hey y'all, Roxanne here. I was planning to do a video on COVID fatigue and pacing and long hauler syndrome, but I realized that when this video posts, I will actually be 1 year post-infection. So I thought I would take some time to answer some of the questions I've been getting, specifically about the weird symptoms that I've been having in the last year. So let's get into it. Okay, y'all. So I want to first start out with a disclaimer. I am not in the medical profession. I don't like science enough to find myself in anybody's school of medicine, school of nursing, school of anything scientific. So this is just my experience. And it turns out that there's actually a list of 98 post-COVID symptoms that people with long haulers are experiencing. I'm going to actually post a link or two to that list down below. So if you're interested in checking that out, if you're curious, please take a look at that. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into number 5. Okay, y'all, when I tell you that I had such... Why does it feel like everybody and their mama with the dog is coming out right now? Everybody. Anyway, y'all, when I tell you that I had such crazy eye pressure, eye pain, just dry eyes when I first had COVID in November of 2020, it was ridiculous. I at one point remember talking to my sister and telling her my eyes just hurt, and it wasn't on the list of normal COVID symptoms at the time. So we just thought, okay, it's just part of the infection or whatever. You'll get over it. Well, that did not happen. I had near perfect vision before I got COVID, and now my vision is actually blurry. So I have to wear reading glasses, which I think is both age and the infection. But I also had to go to an ophthalmologist, never been to one of those before, and they checked the pressure in my eyes, and she was just like, your pressure's slightly elevated, but it's not crazy, but girl, your eyeballs are dry. They dry like the Sahara Desert. I need you to start using these eye drops. So I went to Costco and bought a bunch of these, and I now carry them everywhere. So another one of the unusual symptoms that I had, especially during the acute phase in November, but also I've had it ongoing for the last year, is a real intense scalp sensitivity. I'm going to look down because I cannot remember what this is called, but I found that it might be cutaneous hyperesthesia. Your girl, like I said, your girl don't like science. I don't know if I said that right. But basically it felt like my hair follicles were on fire at times, and it hurt so much. So I have to be really careful with putting my hair up in a ponytail, because some days it works, some days it's nope, you can't do that today. Your hair hurts, which makes no sense. But I actually, during the acute phase, would pull on my locks. I have locks, not braids. I would pull on them because it actually helped my scalp feel better. But I found in the long run, what actually works better is for me to just go take a hot shower and wash my hair. It helps to relax all of the muscles and nerve endings, I think. And I don't end up having to take a leave or anything like that to make it stop throbbing. But yeah, feels like my hair is on fire sometimes, and I just want to peel it off like a wig and set it aside and put it back on when it's done. Okay, I would love to know, if you're a COVID long hauler, what unusual symptoms are you still dealing with? Like I said, there's a list of 98 of them that I've linked below. So take a look at that. If there's something on there that kind of hits you, please mention that in the comments, because I think that, with a list that's that extensive, there's just the full spectrum of symptoms that people can still be struggling with. And if you aren't a COVID long hauler, take a look at that list still and tell me, what's the one that jumps out to you as, I didn't even realize that that was part of COVID or part of long hauler syndrome. Okay, so I think the third thing that I've experienced mostly post-COVID, so I started noticing this months after my initial infection in November, is that my hands, especially my left hand, this guy here, because the left side of my body now has issues, it just throbs and the joints hurt, or I end up having just hand pain or cramps, or just just weird stuff going on with my hands. I do have tremors. I think that that is actually on the list of 98 things, which I was really surprised for that to be there. But yeah, sometimes my hand will just start to shake and I can't control it, which freaks me out a little bit because it feels like the precursor to Parkinson's, but I'm not going to speak that over myself. So yeah, the hand thing, that does happen. I don't have issues with my legs usually. I did with my feet for a while, but mostly the issues are with my hands. Okay, so number 2 is one that I am still trying to figure out, just because the biology of it doesn't quite make sense to me. But again, your girl don't like science, so those dots aren't always connecting. I have virus-induced asthma now because of COVID, and did not have asthma before COVID, have it now. So I'm kind of trying to figure out still, how do I manage this beast that I know very little about and am poor about actually being proactive with. So I have something called, we think is called Pleurisy. Sounds a lot like leprosy, so I don't like saying it out loud. But basically what my understanding is that when my lungs get irritated and inflamed, that the sac that it sits in also gets irritated and inflamed, and it feels like I'm being stabbed in the back and set on fire. Sounds dramatic, but it's literally what it feels like. So I will sometimes go out for a walk or try to exercise and think I'm okay, think I'm having a great day, I can do this, and I do a little bit too much. And my body says, no, you need to stop. And I literally have to stop all the things. I have been on a walk and thought I was fine, and the next minute I'm literally gasping for air and bent over because it feels like I'm being stabbed in the back. And I'll say at that point, all I can do is basically pause, take a few steps, pause, take a few steps until I get home. It's one of those things that I have to actually do my inhaled steroids with, and then albuterol treatment, and then eventually my body figures itself out, but it's never cool to get to that point. And the bad thing is, I just don't know that I'm getting there. Before I jump into the number 1 thing that I've noticed that is an unusual symptom of long COVID, I wanted to give honorable mention to a few of the ones that I've seen on lists that kind of come up repeatedly that I actually experience. So the first one I would say is that I actually have tinnitus. I did not realize that I had it until I was talking to a friend of mine who is also a long hauler, and she kind of described what it feels like, and I was like, oh bro, yeah, that happens usually on the left side. Great. So that's now something that is on my list of symptoms that it's not something that happens a lot. I would say maybe once a week or so I'll have an episode where it's just like my ear will start ringing, and it's usually like I'm laughing, or like people are talking loud, or I'm in a place with loud music or something like that. So I'm able to just kind of remove myself from that situation, and it tends to subside. Another one is sleep issues. I have issues with sleeping now. I am one of those people that before I got sick, I literally would lay down and within 2 minutes I was asleep, because that's just how my body worked. And now I am not able to do that. I actually have trouble falling asleep, so I take melatonin. I also have to practice sleep hygiene, which I didn't even know what that was before I ended up being a COVID long hauler. So there's that. So the other thing that I think is like part of one of the unusual symptoms is that my body temperature is now lower than it used to be. I used to run at like 98.6, like normal people, and now I'm consistently in the 97s. Don't know what that's about. The other thing is that my blood pressure is now slightly elevated. It's not in a dangerous level or anything that my doctors are worried about, but it's slightly elevated for me, which is really interesting considering my family's history with high blood pressure. So it's something that I'm watching. And then also the dysautonomia thing, where my blood pressure will bottom out and I will pass out or get super dizzy, is still something that's happening. So those are honorable mentions. So now let's jump into number 1. Okay, so I would say that the number 1 unusual symptom that I've had over the last year is that I've noticed that I have some subtle and some not so subtle personality changes. Before COVID, I think that I would describe myself as a diplomatic person. I was able to measure my words and really think through like responses and kind of do the psychoanalysis on myself before I open my mouth and say things. My face may say something, but my mouth would not say it. Now, face and mouth, I don't have control over either one of them. So I've been in settings where I am talking to people and I need to be professional, and I just have no ability to control any of the things. Said things, and coworkers have come back and they've been like, "Girl, did you mean to say that? Did you know that you said that?" And the answer is no. I have no memory of actually saying those things, or it didn't register that what I was saying could be taken some kind of way. So that's super fun. And on days when my symptoms are flaring, I actually will just shut things down and do what I need to do for work, but not do much more than that, because I just can't trust my responses. I've also noticed, and this is something that I think that people with who are experiencing health issues over a long period of time, I go from 0 to frustrated on some days like 2.5 seconds. So I have to be really careful about my responses to people, and just making sure that I'm aware of what I'm feeling and how I'm processing things, because if I'm not aware of that, then I could really do some damage. So I think those are probably the biggest personality changes that I've seen. Having no filters, feel like my daddy who has no filters. And I'm just like really honest about stuff. If you ask me a question, if you ask it on the right day, I'm just going to tell you the honest answer, unfiltered, and I hope that I don't hurt your feelings. So there's that. Okay, so it's getting dark because daylight savings time. Yay. So I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. If you got something out of this video, please like, please subscribe. I am going to, I think, close out with 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I haven't thought about this yet. So I would say that I'm really grateful for my current living situation. It's pretty great. Really love the people that I live with, and we have lots of laughs. Number 2, I think, would be the flexibility to be able to take a step back when I need to and just shut things down, because I've had to do that over the last probably week and a half or so, just because of the way that my symptoms were flaring. So definitely grateful for that, and that there aren't any repercussions in my life for doing so. And then number 3, I'm going to say good food. Even though like the thought of it makes me kind of nauseated right now, I'm going to say good food, because I got to have really good food with a friend of mine this last week, and it's a time that nourished my soul. So, all right, have a great rest of your day, guys, and I will see you in the next video.